Good more afternoon, evening, noodle. Good more afternoon, evening, whenever it may be. Today I'd like to talk about some strength training myths, or some things I hear about strength training in the negatives, things I hear about resistance training and getting stronger that aren't complementary. And when we say bust the myths, let's say that we are going to give at least a couple examples of where the myth does not hold true. And if we give a couple of examples, it should open to the mind for the idea that perhaps there's more than a couple examples that don't fit the myth. And if there's more than a couple of times where the myth doesn't hold up for everybody, well, maybe it doesn't hold up for a lot of people. And we're opening the door to the idea that what you hear very well might not be true. So a lot of times of the myths about strength training, and what I hear a lot, is strength training will make you gain a lot of weight and bulk up big. Something else we're going to talk about is that getting stronger will make you inflexible. That when you get stronger, you will become slow and non-explosive. We hear that strength training will injure you and cause injuries. I've heard that strength training is only for boys and girls don't want to or can't benefit from strength training. Very popular one when you bring up getting stronger is that it's dangerous for younger athletes. And if someone believes that younger athletes can benefit from strength training, well, then we move the goalposts, and some would say that it can't help pre-puberty because there aren't hormones, and thus strength training is useless. Very rarely I hear, but it's out there, that strength training isn't worthwhile because as soon as you stop, you lose all your gains, and strength is temporary. I hear that strength training takes too much time to get any noticeable gains or for improvements to happen. And finally, a very, very popular one, I can get all I need through body weight exercises. So without further ado, let's go through with some examples and see what we can't discuss. All right, here we go for the myth, strength training will make you big and bulky slide. It's probably going to be my longest slide. I just got a lot of examples to share, so it could be a little longer than usual. So let's dive right into it. The very first thing we have to do is separate people's perceptions. We have a lot of perceptions of what strong people look like. And so the first thing is to separate what we see as enhanced and drugged athletes from natural athletes. We mostly see the enhanced athletes because they're the ones that are the absolute strongest with the biggest muscles, and it doesn't help that certain competitions don't rigorously test, and it is in quote open secret that the competitors are enhancing themselves with performance enhancing drugs. I don't want to call anyone out because I do not know, but I know this bodybuilding competition is not strictly tested, and this is the result you get for the winners. I won't say it's not natural. I'm saying that this doesn't happen unless there are very, very, very specific circumstances. And it very rarely happens in natural tested bodybuilding. If we were to look at Leroy Rollins or Tyler Jonoff, I'm not sure how to pronounce those names, these two competed in a tested bodybuilding format. So their goal for the whole year, or however long they did it, their whole goal was to grow their muscles as big as possible naturally and then compete. They're not trying to get strong. They are trying to sculpt their body in a big way. And this is the result. I do not know how many years they've been doing it. I do know to prepare for a competition, they're at least putting in a year. And without drugs, which I believe on these pictures, this is their result about getting as big and as bulky as they possibly could. Oh, point being is it's not really that big and not really that bulky. So they are legitimately trying to bulk up. So if you're not trying to bulk up and just trying to get strong, we would assume that you're not even going to get as close to what these professional natural athletes are doing, because they're actually trying to get big and bulky. So that's what we have to do too. We have to separate those trying to bulk up with diet to those who want strength and still be lean. We don't just look at the top weight classes in any kind of power sports. If they have weight classes, we look at people trying to stay within their weight class, and we look at if they're going for strength and lean and often explosive power, they're not trying to bulk up, and they can stay within their weight class while getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And if they were bulking up, they would jump out of their weight class. An argument that you could say is the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Every year, billions of dollars are spent buying supplements, and usually it's not for getting stronger. Usually it's for getting bigger. People want to get bigger. They want to look bigger, bigger muscles. If gaining size were easy, people wouldn't have to take that, and they wouldn't buy that many supplements. People buy the supplements because they're not getting bigger, because they are doing strength training naturally. They're not getting bigger. They buy the supplements to get bigger. It's not a perfect argument, but at some point you have to recognize that people are having trouble getting bigger. And so if you just go in and look at a weight and bulk right up, there's no need for a multi-billion-dollar industry. Okay, if it were easy, you wouldn't have to buy the supplements. People are buying the supplements because they just can't. They're spending money and they just can't do it themselves because it's not easy to bulk up. Many big, bulky lifters are genetically elite, okay, and have been training year-round for 4 years. So oftentimes we look at and we see the elite power lifters, even in a weight class. So we take Taylor Atwood. Taylor Atwood. Taylor is a champion, and he is obviously bulky at a lower, I think he's 165 pounds, and you would say that is a bulky dude. Yes, he is bulky. He has also crafted this physique. He is trying to maximize every single percentage of weight. He's been at this for years. I guarantee his first 1 and 2 years of lifting, I've seen pictures, he did not look like this. Okay, so when we see the elite in the top of the strength sports, they've been at it for years. And yes, you will get bulky when you have done it for years. But we're not trying to do it for years just to see massive, you can see massive improvements of strength. Anywhere from a 20% increase of strength, even up to a 100% increase of strength, and not see the bulk. And in fact, not even gain a lot of weight. Once again, and Taylor's been at it for years and years, so of course he's going to be bulky. This is Maddie Rogers, and she is elite in weightlifting, and she has to stay in a weight class. And so this is what you get when you start strength training for power. Maddie's trying to get to the Olympics, so she's obviously tested. We would hope no performance-enhancing drugs, and we get an elite power athlete without the bulk. We rarely see the average. We do rarely see the average lifter who has increased 20 to 100% in their maxes in basically doing 1 or 2 seasons, or they might have increased their maxes by 100% over a year or 2, but they still are just an average lifter. This is not an average lifter. This is Diana, and I do not know how to pronounce her last name. Irtube. I'll put in a link to her video. She was featured in a national video. So she is a teenage athlete that she has increased her strength much more than 100%. And she can deadlift close to almost 3 times her body weight. So this is someone who has some maximal strength, absolute maximal strength, and not bulky whatsoever. Was able to go through in 1 or 2 seasons, increase her strength by hundreds of percent, at least 100 or more, because there's no way the first time she got there, she was lifting 150-pound deadlift. She's now at 340 pounds deadlift. It's almost, and she weighs 136 pounds. Almost 3 times her body weight, and still hasn't bulked up. Now, if she, I do know if she continues powerlifting for 3, 4, 5 more years, she will still get stronger. And to make those, after the first year gains, after the first half year gains, to make those incrementally smaller gains, she will bulk up. That's what, but we aren't going, unless you want to be a power lifter, we're not going for the long term. We're going for unlocking really good bang for your buck gains without hardly any negative side effects. Realistically, they've compiled some studies, and there's realistically strength training. There is no size increase in the first month, but there is strength increase, and there's minimally noticeable size increase during the second and third month, all the while strength is still going up. And if you were to take a lifter who is really trying and really doing it seriously, there's a lot of variations, but you could be saying an average lifter would get 2 pounds of muscle spread over their whole body in a month. And 2 pounds of muscle spread over their whole body isn't that much. If you were to tell, it's a great bang for the buck. If you were to tell me I would increase my strength multitudes of percentage and only go up 5 or 6 pounds over 3 months, or even go up 10 pounds in 6 months, but I would double my strength as I start out doing introductory powerlifting, I would make that deal every single day, all day. 10 pounds heavier for double the strength, for 80% of the strength. There's obviously going to be a limit where you have to an opportunity cost there, a limiting factor. But for the first half year, for the first 1 or 2 cycles of introductory strength training, the trade-off is always in favor of extra strength versus extra muscle. All right, pause. So let me pull in using myself as an example, a real world example of just an average. I would say I am a hard muscle gainer, so it does take more to actually get size and weight. So I would say I don't produce as much muscle as many people do, but maybe I'm just slightly below average. And so before we look here, right now we're looking at at least a 100% increase in strength of the legs. I'm carrying around 100% increase in squat. I'm carrying around 100% or more increase in maximal strength on the deadlift, which is back and legs. I'm carrying around about 80% increase in the bench press, so the chest muscles, and I'm carrying around 60% increase, 63% increase in bicep strength. All the while, I'm actually the same exact weight as when I started. So literally no increase in weight, some increase in size. But this is just not bulky. This is just not big. Like, no one would look at me and say, wow, he's bulging out of muscles right there. But yet we're talking about 60, 80, and 100% increase in strength. Okay, so another example from myself. Granted, I haven't been training deadlift and squats and chest very hard. Okay, haven't been training very hard, but I have been training biceps very hard. Okay, and so I am older, so I'm going to get not going to grow as much. Okay, I am a 100% natural athlete, and so this is 60% increase in bicep strength. And it's 9 months worth of training, and I would say the last 10 months, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, so literally 3 months, is intense elite bicep training for maybe 2 or 3 months. I don't think I could have trained them any harder, and this is how bulky I got. No one is going to say that's bulky. Do I even lift? Sometimes I wonder. Pause. I mean, but it's a 60% increase in strength. So it's like I'd make that trade in size for strength all day, every day. And finally, let me give a bonus slide. It kind of goes on with strength will make you big and bulky myth. Well, here's a myth that strength training will make you inflexible, unflexible, flexible knots. Okay. Well, I don't have a lot of research on this. I can only say, I will use myself, And it is absolutely 100% not true. You can increase your strength without losing flexibility. Now, it might be different for other people, but I'm giving you the fact that it works for me with not losing any flexibility. And if it works for me, maybe it'll work for more people. So I think there's a good chance it absolutely won't change your flexibility. And quite frankly, if you're worried, stretch. If you're worried, stretch. If I told you, oh yeah, you can get 50% stronger, all you have to do is stretch a little and you'll still be flexible. And then here's the thing too. If you find yourself getting inflexible, stop. All right, so let's see what has 80% increase in strength done to my arm flexibility. Don't know. Is that enough for sporting? Is that enough? Is that flexible enough for most sports? Okay, I think that's actually a pretty bad position. I think I would actually want to be a little less flexed. There we go. Oh, coming back. And finally, let's check the bicep, because I don't think I could have worked this harder for the last, I don't know, 10 weeks or so. I literally could not have worked this muscle harder. Let's see how the flexibility is. Okay, I've always been able to do that, and I still can. And I've done no stretching on the muscle. And both. So well past what would that be, straight? Well past straight, well past 180. So I don't know what to say on this one other than I don't think I could have worked it more, and I still have all my flexibility. All right, thanks for watching. Moving on.